And we're back. Trying ultra low latency this time. Let's see how low it is. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. 3 seconds. Wow. Okay. It said the video quality is going to be a little bit lower. There's always a trade-off, eh? It's okay. Don't need no HD here. Oh, where did I put my cup? All the way back there. Ah! I got a wine glass. Cheers. Toast the pop filter. All right. So, we've already laid out what I'm planning to do here in the stream description. And yes, this here tipple is alcohol free. Although not sugar free. One thing at a time. Simplus Cola. Comes from Home Plus. It's a Korean store. Used to be linked with Tesco. I don't know if Simplus is a Tesco brand. It's good. I had Coca-Cola recently. Can hardly tell the difference. Here's to almost 1 year of sobriety. Coming up on a week until 1 year. I should do a 1 year sobriety special. Okay. So I've been looking forward to this because, as I was explaining to Phil in the last stream, it's one thing I've learned to watch for in my own habits, creative, mental, sometimes, yeah. I don't want to say emotional because I'm not really that emotional. But emotional habits, sure, why not? Just having fixed ideas about that. Oh, well, this is really relevant in, I find, as I aspire to grow in wisdom commensurate with my age, hopefully be better than commensurate with my age. How I deal with the long-suffering missus. This also comes into play there. Because, you know, she has, and this is a bit odd. This is a bit odd. My long-suffering missus has, now there seems to be a lag in my video feed here, in my own little system here. Wonder what that's all about. Yeah, she has better spatial memory than I do. She has better spatial judgment than I do. Which you would normally think that it's men that are more visual and men that are better at that sort of thing, but she's actually better than I am at that. We were just we were rearranging my classroom last week. I found a I found a table that somebody had discarded, and she's like, "Yeah, put it over there under the window, and put the TV screen on it, and move the big table back toward the door, and we'll be able to fit more kids in here, and everybody will be happier, including you." And I was like, "That's." I thought that was the most retarded idea. I said, "I haven't taken out the tape yet, but I guarantee you, after I take out the tape, you're going to see that this is never going to work." Well, lo and behold, she was exactly right, and I was exactly wrong. So, sort of preconceived notions, fixed ideas, it goes for audio work as well. And I had this idea that I wanted a rich fuzz guitar part, but I wanted it to be warm and rich and dark. But in order to get a fuzz guitar part to be dark, and I mean dark in a somewhat technical sense, meaning it's going to register as dark on this instrument tool right here, Airwindows meter. You can see, Eric, that it has bright, sonority, and dark. And this is something that I'm going to get you familiar with. You're going to find it, well, who am I to presume what you're going to find useful or not? But I suspect you might find it as useful as I do. You see, I don't take enough breaks. I don't take enough ear and brain rest because I love doing this stuff. And but it's quite easy to lose objectivity. What objectivity you can have about your own thing, you know? And I've got other opinions about that whole topic that are rather contrarian. I'm pretty contrarian by nature, as you might have gathered. And that's no less true with audio work. But anyway, I compare this to how pilots, when they're flying blind, they use instruments. This is like instrument flying. This meter. This and some other of his tools, Airwindows tools. Some of them you can't even hear consciously. You might call them subliminal. They work based on principles of psychoacoustics and other things. You know? The wonderful world of Airwindows, sir. Okay, so I strive when I run a mix through meter. I strive to have the mix 10 to 15% dark if I can manage it, and sonority no higher than 85 if I can manage it. Though sometimes if it gets up into the 90s, that's okay. And bright, I'm super picky about brightness. Brightness is problematic in digital audio world. So anyway, back to this fuzz part now called heavy guitar. I finally just gave up. I couldn't keep my eyes open, and I mixed it down and listened to it in the car today, and sure enough, it was super muddy. I just couldn't make out. I couldn't. It just added volume to the mix without. I had to, in order to minimize the brightness of fuzz and bring out any darkness at all. It just lost all detail and clarity. So as I was driving today, I was thinking, this whole idea of I'm going to have a fuzz because I love fuzz. I love fuzz guitar, man. I love it. But it was just a preconceived, fixed idea that I had in my noggin. And all I had to do was just recognize that and go, well, it doesn't have to be that way. It's just, I made that in my mind. So the first thing I did when I pulled this up was to take out the tool that I was using to create a fuzz guitar part. I just took it out. And I stuck in Airwindows PointyGuitar, which just came out in the last week or 10 days or so, I think. Maybe 2 weeks. And so as soon as you get your Windows machine set up for Windows and you get Cakewalk installed, ASAP, I need to get you to download Airwindows Consolidated. Right there, okay? It's absolutely free and open source. And it is indispensable. Okay? The creator is he's just one of those geniuses that you run into from time to time. And this amp sim is not simulating any real world amp. Let's just read through this blurb real quick. Maybe not the whole thing, it's rather long. But this is the kind of thing we're dealing with here. Sometimes the best way to get the performance of a very analog thing in a very digital format is to accentuate not the spirit of analog, but the capacities of the digital. I mean, oh God, this guy is a good writer, and he has a mind that it can be kind of hard to follow sometimes, especially when he's talking about the technical things. But he's good about dumbing things down for people like me as well. Let's read that again. Sometimes the best way to get the performance of a very analog thing in a very digital format is to accentuate not the spirit of the analog, but the capacities of the digital. How can that be, sir? What you get then is not fake, gutless imitations of the artifacts of the analog thing, but the heart of why we go for that analog thing. How very counterintuitive. Meet PointyGuitar, which is all amps. Just adjust, if that is, what the analog sound is made of. Here's how it works. Smooth EQ was a sort of breakthrough, the ability to get, that's another tool he came out with recently, which I have yet to try out. I may do that tonight. Maybe I'll try that on the bass part. Smooth EQ was a sort of breakthrough, the ability to get very steep EQ crossovers while still zeroing out at perfect unaltered fidelity. It sounds the way it does because it reconstitutes the original source between every stage rather than doing independent EQ bands and trusting that they'll be just as good because the gains and EQ slopes match up closely enough. Then there's angle EQ, a sort of disaster. A very heavily colored EQ where the crossovers are so phasey that it's like running stuff through a speaker. The opposite, whether as a high pass or a low pass. It produces a weird physicality and scrambles the sound pretty good. PointyGuitar is both in series with a basic distortion as found in Fire Amp between every EQ stage. There can be lots of these EQ stages, so there can be lots of stages of this simple soft clip, but it's always on the full sound, not a multiband. What happens? Any given section might add small amounts of overdrive. It's not an electrical circuit, and it's run at double precision, so there is no thermal noise / Johnson noise. It's just a bit of overdrive if you're boosting a band. Otherwise, if it's flat, it's extremely flat. Interestingly, inside the flat EQ, it's still using the angle EQ math, but in such a way that it sums to perfectly flat. Using biquads would have got steeper crossovers, but requiring more stages turned out perfect here. I don't understand all this. More technical explanations. That gives you a taste. It gives you an idea. Every tool comes with a blurb like this, a write-up. So it's interesting reading too. Yeah. Zero latency so you can track with it, he says. And you get a gate. This should work both for vintage tone guys and Resnorian madmen. Yeah, this is man. This is now in my top 5, if not my top 3 favorite Airwindows tools. This thing right here. It's stunning. And there's one more that I haven't tried yet in this track that I might try. Oh, man. Oh, cola. I love cola. Too much. So here's what it sounds like. This part starts off super quiet here. I'm going to start with the spatializer off. Well, first everything, here's just the guitar. Now, bear in mind that the volume fader is down to minus 11.3, so that's one reason it's so quiet. Okay, but I tracked it quietly. I like to build my dynamics into my performance rather than volume draw. If you don't know what volume drawing is, you will. Volume automation, volume drawing. Let's say volume automation. I hate doing volume automation. I try to avoid it at all costs. That's just when you automate the That's when you automate the fader to go up and down at various points in the song. I hate it. I don't like using it for various reasons. Not least of which is that, playing something soft is very different from playing it loud. It's just different in every single way you can think of. You get different dynamics, different attack, different. Everything's different. So sometimes you need to do some. Sometimes you need to do some volume automation. Sometimes it's unavoidable. But anyways, it's not like I'm special for. I'm not saying that I'm doing anything special. Just that I think you'd be surprised at how many of these youngins overuse it, and they don't track it dynamically. Anyway, old man yells at cloud. So it's quiet, and so let's just hear. Let me just show you what I got in here. So once again, this is the effects rack for track 6, right? And I can add effect. I don't like calling them effects. I like calling them, though they're called plugins, but I like calling them tools because that's what they are. That's the way I look at them. I look at them as tools. This is a workshop. These are tools. And this is my toolbox. Now this is one way to access my toolbox. And another way to access the toolbox is right up here to expand that side pane. Right now it's on instruments, but I can click on effects and I've got the same stuff all right here. And in this case, I can choose a plugin and drag it into the effects rack, just like that. Okay, now what I've got here is, and I still have the installer, so you might not make the deadline though. Okay, but this is a plugin from a company called Waves, and this is kind of a like a little pedal board, and I've got an EQ compression preset in there that I might tweak later, and I've got this, which is like salt and pepper and butter. It just pretty much goes on everything. And then I've got this tube drive, which is really nice, actually, really nice. And so let's just A/B that first. I'll take it to the louder part. A little bit out of tune there, but all right. And then here is what PointyGuitar is doing, which is astonishing. It's got that like 6L6, that really saggy Fender, big fat Fender tube breakup. Like a old Bassman head. Wow. And then, so all I did was just take out this. It was also a waves. It was in this chain actually, and I'll show you what it looks like right here. It was GR Solo tool rack, and it looks like this. And I'm not saying, I mean, it's great. It's great. This is a great tool. This thing. It's just not suitable for present purposes. But like I had, look at all these presets. I mean, and I haven't even explored it yet. There's probably other stuff. I could probably still use this. It's just that I went straight for like fuzz 2, and I went right there. And what do we got? We got a gate compressor, a wah-wah, which I had off, and distortion pedal and EQ, and then in the amp section, you got all these amps you can choose from. Clean, drive, high gain. And then you got cabinets you can choose from, and microphones, on axis, off axis, and then this thing called Air, which is really good. Kind of a stereo wide kind of spatializer. Very nice tool, awesome, really, but it just wasn't. It was just getting in my way. So I did that, and I put in PointyGuitar, which is, this could be the only amp sim that you ever use. It does it all, truly, and it's really out of the box. Nobody else does anything like this, which is also cool. And then this thing I'm going to recommend that you get. Nobody seems to know about it. I never see anybody mention this thing, but it's free. It's out there, and I think it's amazing. There's a lot of stereoizers, spatializers out there that kind of itchy nose tonight. That they work, but they don't work well. They create problems. Sometimes they create issues with comb filtering. They create mid-side problems. And this thing, matter of fact, I'm going to check it right now for mid-side issues, but I don't think it has any. But listen to what it does. It's the guitar was a tiny, one string was a little bit out of tune, but this has frequency modulation as well as amplitude modulation. Once you get the frequency modulation in there, plus as long as that string's a little bit flat, it's fine. And yeah, so this is one that nobody ever talks about this one, but it's really good, really nice tool. And so in the mix, listen to the dropout. So I got that just right where I want it. I went to bed this morning just really irritated by this, and I just had one simple realization, just a little aha moment. Just it's simple. There's something not working. Just take it out. Try something different. Don't be too attached to your ideas. You know, not that I'm telling you how to keep your mind. Just telling you a little bit about the way my brain works, the way I try to work with it. All right, so and this part, the polyrhythmic vibe part, I'll probably be tweaking that some more later on. But for now, yeah, it's like I'm gonna have to go back and retrack the acoustic part and possibly even the electric, this part. Although I'm happy with the way it sounds. But it's coming along, and I'm almost ready to park this mix for a week or two. Which is like when I get to this stage where the arrangement's pretty much where I want it. And it's like it's starting to come together, right? Then I'll kind of like letting your bread rise, letting the dough rise. Then you got to come back and punch it down, let it rise again. Baking has also been one of my hobbies. So now the next thing up is I'm not happy with the way this bass part. I'm happy with the bass part itself. I don't want to have to retrack it. It does have. Okay, well, I did it with the Strat, and I really love playing the part on the Strat. I think that the Yamaha SG is ultimately the humbuckers are, I think, better for. I don't know, but it kind of depends on what kind of vibe you're going for, like with anything. Certainly less noise from the humbucker pickups, So actually, I've decided that I'm gonna try to repeat that feat of finding a Strat for $20. I'll probably never get that lucky again, but if I could find, I'd like to get an actual real bass guitar, and I'm coming up on my first year of sobriety, and I'm actually going to ask my wife for a 1 year sobriety present. Sometimes you got to call these things in, I want a bass. I want a real bass guitar. And if I could score one for, let's say, used, $80. $80. That's my budget. So, and I'm not talking like a piece of total crap either. I'm talking like a decent bass. That's my goal. So, but anyway, this is what I have here, and it's. I've got a gate installed in the Pro channel. We click on it. Click. Okay, now you see over here, Strat bass. Pro channel, I got a gate. If I bypass the gate, yeah, so there's a little sputter in the spaces, in the pauses, and this is filtering those out. Doing a good job of it too. This is a Pro Channel module. It's a good one knob. Very nicely designed. Gator. So, okay, so yeah, it's just too in the mix. It's just a bit. It's just not gnarly enough, Eric. Oh, that reminds me. That's what I wanted to check. I knew I was forgetting something. I wanted to check the heavy guitar with this guy right here. I just want to check how it's doing. If you've ever heard of mid-side, you know, the idea, if you don't know already, you know, you've got, like, they call them images. You got your mid image and your side image in your mix, and especially as you get down to the bass frequencies, you want bass frequencies to be in the middle, not out to the sides in the stereo image, in the middle, for lots of different reasons, several different reasons. It prevents phase cancellation. It just makes for a better, tighter mix, whether it's through headphones or through, but it's also really important. Like if it's going to be played through loudspeakers in a big open area, if you got a lot of bass in your side image, it just causes all kinds of problems. So here's a tool for checking that. This is a control click, and now I get both of these windows open at the same time. This is a spectrum analyzer. All these things are free. You don't have to pay for any of this stuff. Okay? So I want to check out this spectrum analyzer is going to show me my mids and sides, how they're looking, how they're doing. And so I'm going to solo this soloist track. I don't really need to have this open, so I'm going to solo this track, and I don't want my face in the middle of the readout. I don't really need to be there, do I? Okay, this will give you the idea. And there we go. And I can, there. Okay, I can bypass the tool right there. It just got the bypass button just poking out. So check out this Here's what I'm going to do. I should have done this before. Hang on. Okay, that's a sight better. Now, you can see I've got routing set to mid-side stereo and underlay. So you'll see what it does here in a second. So, first I'm going to play the mix through this thing. So the darker green is my mids. The kind of like key lime pie green is my side image. And you can see down in the bass, the side is a lot lower than the mid. That's the way that's the way I want it. We got it again. Now over here you see a little bit of like salmon color. That's where the side image is actually outstripping the mid image. And I'm going to take care of that later on with some more EQing. It's not a problem right now, but that will be a finishing, that'll be a loose end to tie up later. But anyway, you see what this does, right? So, in other words, I want the light green to be lower than the dark green, especially in the low mids down to bass. This also shows me my resonant frequencies where things are. Okay, and this helps you to isolate problems sometimes. Anyway, this is a spectrum analyzer. Now, I hope you don't mind me indulging my nicotine cravings while I talk. All right, so now I'm going to solo this heavy guitar track and just see how it's doing. Looking good. Now you see when I bypass, this is interesting. Okay, this is exactly what is to be expected. When I bypassed that stereoizer, what that stereoizer is doing, you can hear it. Especially if you've got your headphones on, you can hear it's taking I would say that image that's focused in the middle, and it's like spreading it out into the stereo field, and you can hear things in either ear, in both ears. And so when I turn it on and it does that thing, you can see it reflected in the spectrum analyzer. You can see the light green side image come up, but it's still quite a bit lower than the mid image. If it was like coming up and it was outstripping the mid image, and I was seeing like some salmon colored stuff going on, especially in the bass and low mids, that would be a problem. So let's look at it again, starting with the Acon Digital Multiply off, and then I'll turn it on and you can see what happens visually. Right? But it's fine. There's no problem at all. That's just exactly. It couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. That's perfect. Okay. But there are other spatializing, stereoizing tools that can give you problems. All right, so good. Got that out of the way. Now back to the bass. Let's look at the bass part through the. Just curious. Span. This is called span. Voxengo span. Let's look at the bass part. Yeah, okay. I'm going to solo the bass part. In general, you want bass parts pretty much straight down the middle. There are times where I will add just a little bit of width to them, but not too much. And I might do that in this case. But when I do, I always check it in span. There are other similar tools out there, but this is the one I like. It's free and it works well. I like Voxengo. And he's based. The guy that makes these he's based. He has a reputation for being based. Kind of like Fuller. He's based. I like supporting based, even though I'm not giving him my money. But okay, so but let's look at it. It's really high, around 60 to 80. I think it could use maybe around here, maybe a little boost of some kind around here. We can also look at it in the Pro Channel Equalizer. This is the, oh, wait a minute. Okay, there. We can look at it, double click on the EQ, and we can see the waves. Okay. So this started with a preset. I'm going to do a full reset, starting from scratch, and I'm going to EQ it by hand. Okay, so I'm just going to start it and EQ it, and now it sounds really wretched, but that's because of the tools that I've applied, knowing full well that I'm going to be filtering out that you know, I'm going to be tempering. I'm going to be applying other tools, you know. So just right off the bat, I'm going to click on the low stage and drag it down, but you see that it's got this bell shape, right? Down here, there's this little switch. Okay, I want to take it from notch to a shelf. Okay, and see how it's got this weird, okay? I just want to do a high pass for starters. See this Q knob here? I'm going to adjust the Q knob until I get just this nice slope right here. Drag it down. And just have a cutoff around 80. Right there. So that's a good start. Because anything below 80, especially anything below 50, is kind of like you're getting into the sub-bass territory. And I mean, unless you want to you know, impress people in certain socioeconomic neighborhoods in certain inner cities. I mean, or rave parties, certain beaches. I mean, it's really the only sounds you want to allow in this region are bass and kick. Uh, for these are rules of thumb, right? Okay. And then the bass and the kick are competing, and that's a whole other subject. By the way, if I'm telling you stuff you already know, forgive me. It's just that I don't know how much of a beginner you really are. You may have some real world studio experience, just not DAW experience. So I don't mean to be talking down to you. If I'm telling you stuff you already know, I apologize. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to do the same up here. That's already on the shelf shape. And again, this weird curve, that you just use the Q knob to, you can do this shit too, but this is what I want right now, just that. Just a nice low pass curve. And I'm going to cut it off right there. You know what? I'm just kind of curious if that might be kind of interesting actually. Let me see if I move this over. Like do a little boost between 1 and 2K. Just see what this sounds like. The other thing I could do is just do a normal low pass curve, and I could take this one and just bump it up. Like that would be the more standard thing to do. Got a different sound than what I did before, doesn't it? It's a bit more noisy. It's a bit noisier. Try this again. Let's just see how this sounds in the mix now. Let's try it the other way. Sometimes what can sound unpleasantly noisy, soloed, can be just kind of gnarly in a cool way in the mix. Let's just, move that over here again and just like drag this up. Maybe not so extreme this time. Let's hear this in the mixed. obviously that would need to be turned way down, right? Now, I'm no expert at EQ. Ninko over in France is, Phil is Captain Cakewalk, and Ninko is like, could I come up with a similar nickname for him with EQ? He's the EQ guy. Nico's really good at EQ. He's taught me a lot. So this is just my, still amateur attempt here. I mean, look, I could take this and turn it way down and just have it kind of like have that gnarliness just kind of like poking through, which is cool. I mean, it sounds like that bass is just having the shit beat out of it, which can be cool. But if it's turned down so that's just kind of like poking through in a cool way, are the notes still coming through, right? Is it still pulling duty as a bass part? So got it at 11.7. I'm not a fan of that right now, so I'm going to bring this back to where it was. And I'm going to go back into Pro Channel, back to my EQ stage. By the way, when you're using the mouse wheel around these knobs to like scroll up or down, I'm using the mouse wheel to like scroll up and down. Make sure you're not hovering over a knob, because then the mouse wheel will turn that knob instead of scrolling up and down, and that can be annoying. Okay, so make sure you're away from knobs when you're scrolling with that mouse wheel. Now, they look it looks like 6 of one and half dozen of the other, but it's really not, as you can see. Why? I don't know. Nico could probably tell us why. But I'm preferring this right now. And I'm just going to just give it one more listen. Okay, I like that right there for now. It's much better. And the bass part might be a little bit too loud now. I might need to... But I like loud bass parts. Like I said, I like dick swinging bass parts. And so I don't know. Maybe just bring it down to just a tiny hair, just for the sake of bringing it down a little bit. But I'm going to leave it there for now. And so, right, that's way too much time for only part of the agenda, but I take things slow. I just, it's just partly because I got too much time on my hands. But I hope you don't mind. I've had people tell me, you need to edit your videos, you need to tighten them up, shorten them. And I'm just like, no. I mean, I get it. I understand why. But no. I'm not trying to get any YouTube plaque on my wall, you know? Eric, you may be the guy that I'm here for. Although you already kicked the bottle a long time ago. So, but who knows? Anyway, I mean, who knows? You might be. There are reasons for things in life. We're all on missions we don't know about. Okay, not to get metaphysical. What else? Speaking of mid-sides, right up here, this is the master bus. So this is the master channel, the master bus. This is where all the tracks get fed into this final output track right here. And this is all final output processing right here. And I do have a very minimal mid-side setting here. This is Ozone 11 EQ. It's free. And it's really good. And you can see here I've got my mid. Got it scooped down a little bit in the low bass. Although I wasn't really having a mid-side problem because I've learned to prevent that problem with my arrangement and my preliminary EQ settings and all that. But this is kind of a standard mid-side, standard for me anyway. And if I A-B this, you can hear the difference. Check it out. That's on and off. Not a huge difference, but you might be able to hear the difference there. So now, oh, I forgot to plug in my keyboard controller before firing things up. Okay, let me see. Shouldn't be a problem. There is the cable. And well, I actually put a lot on the docket for this. I might not get around to all of it. Depends on how quickly I pick up the keyboard part. If I'm going to do an organ part, I'm not really a keyboard player, you know. Okay, I need to reroute this cable here. Okay. Luckily, it doesn't need. It only needs organ in the. Chorus, maybe pre-chorus sections. Let's see here. Do I have another? I got to unplug something. Oh, doggone it. Oh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? I guess it'll have to be the drum kit. I'm not using that anymore tonight. Okay. Okay. Now I might get a notification from Cakewalk. Yep. Would you like to reroute? Yes, I would. Thank you very much. And hopefully it works. Sometimes I have to restart Cakewalk to make it work. So first, let me save. Cakewalk doesn't auto-save the way it should. I think it does. But you have to go into preferences, and I keep forgetting to do that. Anyway, it's a good idea to save often, especially as projects grow. Excuse me. 'Tis season. All right. Insert. This is a long way. That's a short way. Ah, man, I hate sneezing. Ah, there's my instruments. I showed you how to drag an instrument over here. I'm going to do it the long way this time. Add track, instrument. Now I've got two Hammond organ